Hey everyone, welcome back to another General 0 Hour replay. This is Scottagorn.
And I am Synthesis.
Synthesis, tonight we have a 3v3 on Hostile Dawn, and this is from Wednesday, the 25th of March of the year 2026. We've got the South team up in red. China Vanilla is Wild. Down in the middle, Golden Skippy, China Vanilla. And in the orange, USA Laser, Neo.
All right, and I am up in the top left as USA, playing with Modus in the back as China Nuke General, and 131 as the USA Superweapon.
Modus going, I thought he was going to go 3 supplies. He's going 2 supplies. Your teammate, I think, is going to be sending Red Guard to the middle and all over the map to try to cause chaos. He's going to be sending out Nuke Battle Masters soon and trying to get on people's supplies. He's going to get on Overlords, Nuke Overlords with some ECMs, and then he's going to get the Nuke up. He's going to go Nuke MiGs. So we will see if the other team allows him to get all that up and going. I see that you have taken the space in the middle and have gone all Rangers against Wilds, all Tank Hunters. Unfortunate choice of units for him there, because he's getting chased back into his own base. Here you come.
Yes, and I feel like sometimes I've been told I may overuse the infantry early on, but I find that I want to run my army like it's a real army, and I think you start with the infantry and you work your way up through your armor and your air. I wonder, what do you think about that as somebody who has a little bit more experience than I do?
I would say a similar thing, that you overuse infantry at the beginning of the game. It would be my take, but hey, you ask Modus and he might tell you to keep going, because here he is sending in a multitude of Red Guard into Wildcard's base, and he's trying to capture. Wildcard is able to run it over with the outpost, but he just loves causing havoc with those guys early on, and it is not easy to run those things over with the outpost. In fact, they like to blow themselves up. This could actually work if the Gatling tank... he's got a Gatling tank. So a single Gatling tank from Wildcard kind of neutralized your first group. You're able to laser lock him barely. But then a single Gatling tank again neutralized the Red Guard. Here comes the Battle Master, which everything's just rock, paper, scissors in this game. Battle Master beats the Gatling tank. Gatling tank was beating the Rangers from you. It is a hodgepodge in the middle.
I think there's a huge value in having a mix of troop type early on and later on in the game as part of a way to maybe confuse your opponent's micro. Is that something that you think about when you're building you're playing your early game?
Great question. I try to blend in a mix of units later on when I've got a large group. When I've got an army that I want to surge into the opponent's camp, I do try to include a range of units, and I just glob them all together. I know there's a couple of players out there, Cordog is one of them, that will make his groups of units distinct. He won't use buggies and quads just in a clump together. He'll individualize them out and use them for different purposes. I more blend them together. At the beginning of the game, I can't tell you what my strategy is there. I don't know if I've thought about it that much yet, Synthesis.
Interesting.
But you've got that down. You prefer to use a mix for that very reason, so that nobody can pigeonhole you based on your strategy.
I think, though, that sometimes I worry that I'm not specialized enough, and I have trouble doing damage when, there's a difference between being resilient and dominating your opponent. And I think that is the fine line that we walk.
So are you playing not to be the first one out, or are you playing to be the first one to crush your opponent? I wonder if you're playing to not be the first one to get gotten.
I'd like to think that depends on my team and the map, but maybe I tend to lean one way more than the other, more than I care to admit.
So we had Skippy walking some infantry into 131's base. They mopped it up pretty quickly. Modus was right there. Here we have Modus sending not just Battle Masters, but Gatling tanks into an exposed USA base. You know, do you remember, were Bill and Modus, were they communicating about that open base here? Because I see some Chinooks getting taken out of the sky by just a single Gatling tank here.
We were pretty chatty, but I was a person at this point. You can tell I had given up all of the oils on my side, and I was getting very concerned that that Red was about to take a huge financial edge. So for me, the focus was trying to win back these oils before he had taken too much money from me.
You've got a bulldozer there. They don't capture oils. You've got a couple of guys in those buildings there. I see one of your supplies just got taken out by
this was the point of the game where I was very concerned that we were going to lose. Very concerned.
Yeah,
but
Modus was
I did. It wasn't all lost. It wasn't all lost because they were playing very strong on the other side of the map, and they put a lot of pressure on Orange and Yellow to give me a minute to just deal with Red.
Skippy came in to save Neo's bacon there with a large group of Gatling tanks. Might have gotten too close to some garrisons. Might have gotten hammered by a 131 Humvee or two because he's only got 2 tanks left. One of them's on low health. Looks like Modus is, or not Modus, 131's going to be able to defend his own base here. Skippy's trying to do the same thing to 131 that Modus did to Neo, get those Gatling tanks in by the Chinooks, but nope, they get taken down quick. Your base is cleared. You go with the Raptors as, am I right, your USA vanilla? Raptors and Comanches as vanilla. Interesting.
Again, just sometimes I feel like the unit selection just needs to be unpredictable for the sake of unpredictable, which I think is another thing that the more experienced players kind of shun. But I find great value in playing it kind of like a chess game, in that you can't necessarily, the best thing to do is the best thing to do, and everybody knows that. And so there's this crazy calculus where do you do the slightly less favorable thing on paper because your opponent might not expect it?
I think you and Titan would get along very well in that regard. Titan, I think, has a deep moral conviction on the levels of what you were just talking about, where he does not want there to be only one major strategy that dominates in this game. It's like he wants to save the game from boredom and monotony by proving that a sub-optimal strategy can exist. And I am the antithesis to that. I just want to do the best strategy and do it as well as I can.
So I believe you. And I think Wild would agree with you very much so.
Wild currently has a couple of overlords in the base. Man, they got wiped out by nuke MiGs pretty quick.
The nuke MiG is just an unbelievable weapon.
Yeah, yep. Overlords have tons of health, but the nuke MiGs popped them up in the air. Oh, hopefully Wild can keep those 3 ECMs in the base unnoticed. They're just chilling. Nope, they've been discovered. And now the laser lock's going to pick them off, which is too bad because those are getting picked off for free. Skippy and another incursion as well.
Yeah, and if you could also see 131's very strong in the middle of the map now, and I'm starting to get back some of those oils. So at this point, I started to feel like we may actually have had... My logic was, if Wild had not beaten me by now with those oils, with me having them and not a ton of pressure on my teammates, we have to be doing well. And I think that turned out to be the case.
Interesting that Wild got all of those resources from your corner of the map, won them fair and square from you, but then he didn't use them against you. He got that initial incursion into your base where he destroyed a supply, was kicked out by Modus, and after that he tried going straight for Modus's base. Looked like Skippy
and that did let me get back. I got my footing here big time.
Yes, and, I see Cyan all over the map up on the north side. You've got your beloved infantry walking all over the place again.
And then also, I'd like to point out, Skippy played very good overall that evening, but Joe was a monster in some of these games with these Humvee armies that he likes to deliver.
Yep, Joe always packs his Humvees all the way full of missile defenders. So it's easy to see, oh, he's only got 4 Humvees. Well, I've got 6 Humvees. Yeah, well, yours only have, 2 or 3 missile defenders in them. You get too close to Joe's Humvees and yours just gets shredded. That's very common to happen to me.
Where do you stand on the idea of varying the number of troops in each Humvee so as to confuse your opponent to not know which Humvees to target?
Again, I have never thought about it that deeply. I'm not thinking about it to confuse my opponent. I'm thinking about it to conserve time because it takes time to load your Humvees, and I don't usually have an abundance of barracks for just tons of infantry. I usually make a second war factory, and I've got Humvees to spare, so I semi-load them. Here, 131 is
Tell me you're an infantry guy without telling me you're an infantry guy. Is the guy who's worried about how many guys to put in each Humvee.
No, I'm a tank guy, which is why I've got too many Humvees sitting around and not enough.
That's me. That's me.
Defenders to put in them. Oh, 131's
And as you can see here, 131 is pushing in very hard on Neo.
Yeah, I saw his army just get evaporated, though. The infantry, there they were. Like, that's when infantry can be a huge blessing, is because they're just messy. It's a big old globule. It's a globule of messy units in the middle that your tanks don't necessarily shoot down very quickly. And as USA, the laser locks are so powerful. Here, Wildcard's trying to focus on you, but...
And at this point, I had already bunkered in real tight at that point, and I felt very confident by now with the oils back and the barracks on that side as well. This is where I felt like we were good. We were ready to go.
Yeah, the 2 sides are bunkered off again. So no one specifically has an advantage, except for the fact that 131 has 2 oils on his side. You've got 4 oils on your side. And Wildcard has lost a lot of money in his Overlord armies so far, just going down one after the other. The flip side of that would be 131 just lost a huge army. Lots of armies going down here this game.
I see now in the review of this game that I was only able to get those oils back because Wild was going down the middle looking to do damage on my teammates who were in pretty good shape. So that gave me a huge opening to get those back.
Have underestimated you there, thinking you were more out than you were after he took out your supply and you had no oils. And I think he and Skippy might have coordinated that attack, trying to go after Modus at the same time. Maybe they were thinking we got to take care of the nuke MiGs before they become a problem. But the nuke MiGs are what halted his assault there and made it so it didn't go nearly as far against him. To be fair to Wild, if he had attacked you with that, the nuke MiGs would have still been in play just as much to save you.
I'd like to point out me trying to steal these buildings over here during this infantry attack is another reason why I'm so keen on my infantry units. I feel like you could get 6, 8, 10 of them going at once, 3, 4, 5 buildings at a time in the middle of an attack. Very confusing. I think that's very confusing.
Absolutely, especially against the command center, because if you're halting all of your tanks to shoot at a command center, you're just asking for somebody to bomb you with a carpet bomb or something. So skip the command center, send a ranger over to capture it, and then they'll be forced to sell, and that's a much quicker process. Absolutely brilliant.
And then also you have Neo pushing in on 131. This was a moment in time where I believe we were a little concerned because there's no front line for 131 right now, and he's taking a beating.
Suddenly a very exposed base. He's got purple on Neo's frontier, bringing back 3 Humvees and an ambulance to try to defend. By the time he gets there, these units will be driving around the middle of his base, And have you been halted now at the edge of Wildcard's base? Yes, you have.
This was the point in the game where I believe I was under the impression I really needed to get going because I had the benefit of the help in the early game. I had the oils. Now my teammates are a little thin. It's time for me to get some bigger stuff going. And also, if you notice, my tanks here weren't shooting. They're actually firing at this GAT and not hitting it. And I wondered what was going on there. You'll find that they're both of these tanks of mine get destroyed.
I might be at a little different point in the replay. Oh no, I'm seeing it. Oh my gosh, that's frustrating.
And I was microing it, and I could not figure out what happened.
That's exactly right. Oh, you can get it down to low health, but you can't kill it. The invincible Gatling tank, there it goes, finally goes down. That's such a shame because Crusaders is exactly
and that gave Skip a little bit of time to get over here. Oh. I would have maybe had another building or so, but that's okay.
Oh, how is 131 doing after all that? Looks like he's okay. Lost a supply.
And now he's punching back.
Still has his war factory. Still has his strategy center. Golly, Skip is coming up to save you now, isn't he? Is it going to be one down on the south side with 131 coming into Neo's base again? Looks like Neo's been nuked, so he is vulnerable here. Yeah, 3 Humvees for Neo cleared up real quick, and that's it. He jumped.
That was all she wrote.
Yeah, he didn't really have anything left. Golly, yeah, like a yo-yo back and forth on the top of the map, on the bottom of the map. Lots of armies getting crushed.
There was a lot of action. It was a very chippy game. Nobody really felt like they had it for sure until it was over.
When you got the oils back from Wildcard, that was a good turning point because, yeah, not only did you get those resources, but think about if he had been able to keep on pumping that much into more Overlord armies.
That would have been it. That would have been it.
Yeah. Or another round of flamers in your base. That would have been, yeah, well done stealing that back as soon as possible, because that is a big loss, giving 4 oils to the other team, but you rectified it. Nicely done. 131 putting snipers in his Humvees. It's always worth it to take a little extra time to make a few snipers. Don't need too many of them.
I love a couple of snipers mixed into the Humvees. Really adds a little bit of chaos to a skirmish.
Yeah, protects them from laser lock as well. There it is. Good choice of game, Synthesis.
Thank you very much. I felt like that was a very back and forth battle.
Definitely. Great Hostile Dawn game. That's exactly what you like to see on that map. Lots of battles over the oils, and then whatever resources you can get, surge into the other team. So after all that is said and done, Wild had the most supplies collected, had the most buildings destroyed, and the most units destroyed, and had a great ratio as well, maybe from feasting on all of your infantry units with his Gatling tanks. So Wild played a good game, just couldn't quite put the strategy together to knock you out or knock one of the other players out of the game. But statistically wise, very, very strong game for Wild.
Absolutely. I thought everybody played really well in that game, especially. I think there was a lot of tough calls that people had to make, whether to keep going, or you saw a couple times Humvees coming back real quick. But overall, I think it was a very chippy match, and it was a lot of fun.
Well fought. Is there anything else on that one, Synthesis?
No, I think that was a great game.
Catch you in the next one.